Hey, how are you? My name is Ben, and I'm a movie buff. Happy New Year! 2024 was a really good year for watching movies. I watched about 187, not too shabby if I say so myself. For those of you that might not have seen these lists that I do every year, these aren't specifically for movies that just came out in 2024. They could be from any year. As long as I watch them in the calendar year 2024, they can count toward this list. So let's start things off with number 10, Speak No Evil. Not to be confused with the American remake that came out late last year with James McAvoy. This is the original Danish film. What I'm about to say might sound like a bad thing, but I actually mean it as a compliment. This movie, I absolutely hated and I never want to see again. And that's how much it got under my skin. At number 9, we have The Conference. This is another horror film, but thankfully it has a bit more humor sprinkled throughout. What makes The Conference so unique is that it's a story that deals with important social commentary, and it's also a slasher. I really enjoyed this one, and I think its IMDb rating is way too low. If you're looking for a horror film with brains, look no further. It's on Netflix. At number 8, we have Super Cop. This is the third entry in the Police Story franchise with Jackie Chan. The first Police Story is, in my opinion, one of the best action movies ever made. The second one's pretty decent, and the third almost hits the level of that first. It is really exciting. It is so much fun. And not only do you have Jackie Chan back again doing all of his dangerous stunts and action scenes, he's also matched this time by Michelle Yeoh, who seems to metaphorically laugh in the face of danger. She does some really crazy stuff in this movie, and the action finale is truly remarkable, something that you really have to sit down and see for yourself. At number 7, we have Chef. This is a good example of a movie that really surprised me. While the story isn't groundbreaking or unpredictable, it is truly entertaining. There's lots of humor, heartwarming moments, and good performances. If I had to pick the most comforting movie I saw in the past year, it would be Chef. A word of warning, though, do not watch this film on an empty stomach. There are many scenes of delicious food being made, and you will be salivating in no time. At number 6, we have the Sugarland Express. While most people, when we're thinking of Spielberg, we think of Jaws as the movie that just launched his career and showed his cinematic talent. But after seeing the Sugarland Express, I feel like there's also a good deal of that there as well. There are some suspense and thrills to admire here, but at the heart of the story is a couple who has a problematic past and are in pursuit of a baby who legally doesn't belong to them anymore. We know what they're doing is technically wrong, but I couldn't help but root for them the whole way through. Great performances from our leads ensure that that happens. The IMDb score for this movie is also a little low. At number 5 is Farmageddon. If you've watched my channel before and seen some of my lists, you may know that I'm a big fan of visual storytelling. I know that there are some very dialogue-heavy movies, like ones by Woody Allen, Quentin Tarantino, that really rely and enjoy their dialogue. But it is cool once in a while when we get to see a movie that needs very little or no dialogue. There's so much fun and creativity that comes from having to tell a story when you can't use words. Not only is Farmageddon a highly enjoyable family movie, but it's also a great example of showing and not telling. I'm also a sucker for references to sci-fi movies, and Farmageddon has plenty. When I think of the best animation studios, my mind goes to Disney, Pixar, and Studio Ghibli, but I don't think Aardman is too far behind. At number 4 is Dune Part 2. I enjoyed the first Dune movie, but I had a sneaking suspicion that I'd get a bit more out of the second one, and that definitely seemed to be the case. This movie is more epic, is more exciting, it has so many cool things going on, and one of the highlights for me as far as scenes was the one where Paul has to do something in front of the Fremen. Those of you that have seen the movie will know what I'm talking about. I don't want to spoil it for those of you that haven't, but that big moment where he has to kind of prove himself by doing something was really exciting, especially to see in IMAX. And once we get to Oscar time, I really hope that Greg Fraser not only gets nominated for Dune Part 2, but I hope he wins again. Winning an Oscar for Dune Part 1 and Dune Part 2, I think would be a really great thing for him and for me. At number 3 is Awakenings. Awakenings is a movie from 1990 that features Robin Williams and Robert De Niro. Williams is hired as a doctor at a mental hospital and is very curious about a group of patients that he hopes to help soon. This is one of those rare performances where Williams plays it very straight. If I remember correctly, there are a few moments where he is slightly funny, but he never goes for those big moments like we've seen him in other movies. Awakenings is truly beautiful, but also heartbreaking. If you like Williams or De Niro and you haven't seen this, you know what you have to do. And number 2 is a little movie called Hundreds of Beavers. This is a movie that is so creative, so crazy, so absolutely hilarious that I do hope that more people watch it as time goes on. The movie is one part Looney Tunes inspired, one part silent film comedy inspired, and also a bit video game inspired as well, I felt, as I was watching it. Most of the movie is about this fur trapper who's kind of getting revenge on these beavers that wronged him earlier, hundreds of beavers, you might say. And in the first half, we get to see all of these crazy sketches and moments of physical comedy and this and that. And you kind of feel at the halfway point that maybe that they'd exhausted their craziest jokes, their craziest gags. And they're just getting started. In the second half of this movie, it just keeps on getting bigger and crazier and bolder. And by the time you finish it, like, I don't know if there's too many other movies that reminded me of something like this. And for that reason, it's just such a blast to watch. And my number 1 movie of the year is Locke. The story of this movie features a man who drives his car for nearly the entire runtime. He's on his way to help someone. During the drive, he talks to several different people about other problems in his life. Tom Hardy is the only actor we see. Everyone is only heard through phone calls. So this is one of those movies that is a really great example of a contained setting movie. And we've seen these before in 12 Angry Men and in other movies. And I think where this kind of strays from something like 12 Angry Men is because at least in 12 Angry Men, you had 12 actors at least. Sometimes you had slightly more, and they're reacting to each other, where we have other faces that we can see. Technically, there are a few locations despite the one room that they're in. So there's a bit of variety, if you will, about who we're looking at. And in Locke, it's Tom Hardy. He really has to carry this movie. The voices that are on the other end, on the phones, they're all great too, but Tom Hardy really has to keep this movie going. When I watch movies like this, I am really reminded of the potential of cinema, the power, the things that can be done. Sometimes we see bigger movies that have death-defying stunts or incredible visual effects, or maybe beautifully choreographed fight scenes or dance scenes. And this movie is literally a guy just driving in a car talking to a number of different people. And despite that, I was so invested. I was on the edge of my seat. There was still a lot of suspense in a movie like this. And when you can do so much with so little, like this movie Locke, you really have a winner. You really have something special, and I can't recommend it enough. And I hope that if you are a fan of Tom Hardy or contained setting movies or just something that's maybe different from your usual fare, please give this one a try. So thank you so much for watching this video. Those were my favorite movies of last year. Please let me know what your favorites were. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next one.